can add it to our, great. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shannon Laffrin, and I'm with the City of Greenville, and we welcome you to our 4th Code Connection. We really appreciate all of you taking your time this evening to join us, and we are very excited to continue these opportunities to connect with our community through these sessions. With me this evening, we have members of our Greenville City staff, as well as our consulting team for the project. So in the essence of time, I know we've got an agenda we're trying to move through tonight, Thomas. I don't want to take up too much time with introductions, but I'll just let you all know that from our city staff joining us tonight, we have our project manager, Chris Kershaw, our planning administrator, Mary Douglas Hirsch, our communications manager, MJ Simpson, and Mike Blizzard from our IT department, as well as Ross Zielinski, who is one of our senior planners. With that, I'm going to go ahead, Thomas, let you introduce your team quickly so that we can get started. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we hope that if you're enjoying these code sessions, that you'll make sure to share them within your circles, within your community. If you've missed any of the previous ones, we do have them recorded and up on our website. One other thing tonight is we're going to be doing some voting through the Zoom platform that Thomas will be explaining. So we really want to try to keep everything focused through the voting mechanism so that we can record anything that comes through on the voting or the tabulations. And we're really not going to be trying to do a lot of question and answer or monitoring of the chat tonight. We've got a different format this evening of how we want to try to be able to record your input. So with that, I'll turn it over to Thomas Eddington with CZB. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. So thanks again for joining us, everybody. As Shannon noted, this will be a virtual open house, and I'm joined by Christy Dodson and Larry Weston is also on. I'm trying to think, is there anybody else on here? Not yet. There's a couple of people coming in. And so we'll walk you through this webinar this evening. I'll actually turn it over to Christy to kind of introduce the project and where we are and kind of get you all set up for this virtual open house. Christy?
Thanks, Thomas. So as Thomas mentioned, there's several of us from the consulting team that are on the call this evening. And there are a few additional members of the team, and we just want to make sure that everybody's aware of all the different folks that are helping with this project. So we have CZB, Ingalls Planning, Code Studio, Weston Consulting, and MRB that is all part of the team. And as Thomas mentioned, Larry, Thomas, and myself will be helping facilitate this conversation this evening. And so the conversation that we want to have this evening is essentially a virtual version of the open houses that took place last week. Introduce the team. And so that is part of the small area planning process that you can see is we started back in February and will be continuing to happen through June. While that is happening, we are also thinking about the districts and uses of the new code. And you can see that the hope is that this project will reach completion by the end of the year. So we are here in April, and this meeting is part of our area development plans. So to talk a little bit more about what those area development plans actually are. So we are a few months into that process. And last week, while the consultant team was in person, we held several in-person open houses. And those were held for each of the 5 areas that were throughout Greenville over 3 different nights. And we had the opportunity to talk with a lot of folks in person, get some really good feedback.
I have it.
I'm in the meeting.
And if I could ask everybody to make sure that
Palmer is in the meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, yes.
And so part of what we want to do tonight is essentially walk through what the boards and the questions that we had for those that were able to attend the meetings in person last week. So we know that sometimes it's a little hard to get to a specific meeting on a specific night. And so part of what we want to do is open up some of the same conversations that we had at the meetings in person at those open houses and try to have that conversation here virtually. So as we mentioned, there are 5 areas that we're thinking about as small area planning areas. So we're talking about these as testing areas. And so the 5 areas are Main and Stone, North Lawrence, McAllister Square, Greater Sullivan, and Augusta Mauldin. And part of what we wanted to do in this process is find areas that were representative of different types of development patterns throughout Greenville. And so as we were thinking about the new code, as we're rewriting these districts, we wanted to make sure that they are functional for the types of development that you have in Greenville, that they're functional for the types of development you want to see that may not be in place yet, and that they also are implementable. So as you go and try to build something on these properties, that the code would allow you to do those things. So part of what we are going to task you with today is thinking about these 5 small areas. So some of you may live or work in one of these small areas, and that likely is going to be the small area that you're going to want to pick to be a part of tonight. But if you don't live or work in one of these 5 small areas, we want you to think about the different sort of place types that these small areas would represent. And hopefully you either live or work in a similar type of place. So what may that mean? So Main and Stone, for example, and just to orient you, here is Main and here is Stone over here. And you know, what type of place is Main and Stone? And so if you're in a similar area to this, maybe you'll want to be part of thinking about and voting on the Main and Stone questions. And the type of place is sort of a closer to downtown, older type of development pattern. You've got some commercial, you've got some residential. There are several neighborhoods that are like that in Greenville. So if you live or work in a neighborhood like that, then the area that you may want to pick to be a part of tonight will be Main and Stone. Greater Sullivan. So Greater Sullivan is a neighborhood. It is mostly residential, mostly detached housing. And this is the area that we were saying is representative of neighborhoods in Greenville. So if what you're most concerned about this evening is thinking about the types of development patterns that would be enabled in the neighborhoods, then this is the area that you would want to give input on this evening. McAllister Square. So McAllister Square is sort of a suburban mall area that is likely going to be retrofitted in the future. It's going to become a little bit denser. You know, it's right on Lawrence Road in Pleasantburg, so it's on some very prominent corridors. It's close to downtown, and it currently has a very low density development pattern that is pretty ripe for redevelopment. And so there may be some other sort of suburban retrofit areas in Greenville. And so if that's the type of area that you're most concerned with, then thinking about the questions that we asked about McAllister Square, this may be the area that you would want to choose to participate in this evening. We have North Lawrence Corridor. So this is one of our only corridor that we're thinking about. So North Lawrence, you can see the Swamp Rabbit Trail kind of coming in at the north end of this. So this corridor is mostly low density commercial right now. And it is close to downtown, and the parcels are relatively shallow. We have some deeper parcels on here. And this character really describes a lot of other corridors in Greenville. And so some of the tools that we're thinking about and the development patterns for North Lawrence could be very applicable to other areas in Greenville. So if this type of development pattern is what you're interested in, then North Lawrence is going to be the area that you'll want to be voting on this evening. And then finally, we have Augusta Mauldin, Pleasantburg. And this area straddles the city and the county, so there are parcels in each. And this is more of a suburban area, but it's closer to the interstate. It sits right on I-85. So there's going to be a little bit of a mix of, you know, some areas of more intense development, some that may be a little more auto oriented, and this also backs up to some neighborhoods. So this is quite a transition area. You get a lot of different flavors. And again, this is pretty representative of a lot of places that are sort of on the edge of Greenville City as it transitions to the county. So this is our final small area. And if that is most interesting to you, then you'll want to be voting on the Augusta Mauldin Pleasantburg questions of this next portion. I will hand it over to Thomas as he will start to describe and walk through how we're actually going to be voting on and talking about some of the character areas and the questions that we're going to have for you this evening.
Great, thanks, Christy. So I think some of you may have joined us last week in person. That's great. We see also that there are a number of new names and associated with the meeting tonight. So also great. What we're hoping to do again is give you a very similar presentation that was given to the open house, given live at the open houses last week. And so given that we are not sure how familiar all of you are with Zoom, we wanted to walk you through a couple of functions that we're going to ask that you use this evening. So if you've all settled on an area that, again, is an area that you live in or that you work in, or an area that is if it's one of those 5 areas, great. Alternatively, it could be an area that you live or work in that is represented by one of these 5. So hopefully you've selected one, because tonight you'll walk through all of the questions based on that district. That district will be where you provide your answers. So for those of you maybe not familiar with the input functions on Zoom, if you hover over the top of your screen, you'll see, it'll probably say you are viewing Christy Dodson's screen. It'll be in green, and then right next to that will be view options. If you see that and you click down on the view options, you'll see that about 2/3 of the way down, there is an annotate. There's an annotate button. If you click that annotate button, a secondary toolbar will populate. And that secondary toolbar will have mouse, text, draw, stamp, arrow, etc., reading from left to right. Is everybody able to see that, or is anybody not able to see that bar? If you are, maybe unmute yourself, or feel free to throw a chat sentence in if you can't do that. We'll want to make sure that you get there. If everybody's good to this point, our request is that you click on stamp. For those of you that may be a resident or work within one of these 5 districts, we're going to ask that when you click on stamp, you choose the X. For those of you that are using one of these districts as representative of where you live or work in a different area of Greenville, please choose a check mark. And then once you've done that, just kind of hold steady. Yep. Looks like somebody chose a heart and they love us. Thanks, Charles. But you'll note that you can start to throw checks in there. Yeah, you guys can see it. That's fine. Throw them in there if you just want to do a test before we get to the next page. Again, please choose an X if you're a resident within one of the districts. Choose a check mark if those are representative of another district. Okay.
And just choose one or the other, not both.
Yep.
One or the other.
That's
Sylvia,
right.
Sylvia, it is the honor system. You cannot do both.
And
Send
it looks
me
like
to the- Okay,
Sylvia,
I'll
were you
figure it
trying to
out.
sneak another one in?
I'll figure it out.
Now, it looks like somebody said that their drop-down menu only has view options. I think, Rick, if you hover over that top portion of the screen, you should see a view options. If you click on that, then you scroll down to annotate, then click on that annotate. That's when the new toolbar populates. So your view options is right. Just click on the arrow and then go down to annotate. And then you'll see the new toolbar populate, click stamp, and choose an X if you're a resident, or a check if not. Rick, did that work? I saw your chat. Just let me know if that worked. Everybody else seems good. Rick said nope.
Thomas, there may be a different process if you're on an iPad. I'm trying to log in to see if I can get that process described.
Okay, did anybody else have an issue with that? Please let us know in the chat. Okay, Rick, Rick said, don't slow things down for me. Christy, if you don't mind checking through the iPad, I just admitted you for the iPad. He's running on Mac Chrome. That should work because I'm running on Mac Safari, so Chrome should work fine. But you don't see the little arrow to drop down. Maybe Christy will try to walk you through it. If for some reason, Rick, that yours doesn't populate and we start moving forward, you can type in chat, just put the number of the slide here, for example, number 14, and you can give your responses that way. I know that's less than efficient, but until we can get you up and running, that may be the way we have to go. Does that make sense? Everybody else is generally in. They've got it?
Thomas, this is Shannon. I'll be happy to record Rick's while we go through so that y'all can keep moving and focus on the rest, but I'll be watching for Rick's so that I can help make sure it gets recorded. Thank you,
Shannon. Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clear this screen and we will move to the next screen. And we will start the survey input. Okay, so again, keep in mind, you've got one of the areas selected. You can see that we've got Greater Sullivan, Maidstone, Rutherford, North Lawrence across the top. So that is your column, your row. You get to select up to 3 attributes, prioritized attributes that you value most about this planning area. We're probably going to give you all a minute or 2. We'll see how this goes to get your responses input. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to raise your hand. If you need to put a chat question and don't hesitate to do that, or just unmute and ask us a question if you have a question. But we'll give you a minute or 2 to read through this and make your marks.
And I will let you know when you're down to 30 seconds. How about that?
And it is okay if you mark over other people. We can still see and record it. But as you walk through, start thinking about crazy places in your little box that you might want to put your marks, maybe slightly right, slightly left, rather than center. And again, questions, unmute and ask, or throw it into chat, which is on the bottom right of your screen.
Okay, I don't know what I did. I can't see where to click to get the green X. I mean, the check. Where did that?
Sylvia, if you click at the top of your screen, do you see stamp? Do you see that little toolbar that says mouse, text, draw, stamp?
No.
Okay. If you
How about
hover
view
your
options? How about
hover
view
up at the
options
top,
first,
you'll
Sylvia?
see view options. And
I have a
annotate.
bunch of symbols. I have a bunch of symbols at the top.
Okay, if you click on stamp, you can choose one of those symbols and use that one.
I don't see the word stamp though.
Okay, hang on.
Okay, anyway, somebody put a check in for North Lawrence for me.
You want North Lawrence? Where do you want your checks?
Okay. Well, right now, a lot of it is all check, check, check. Because, well, the X in minimal traffic, because that's a state highway and there's no way there's going to be minimal traffic. Oh, Lord.
Sylvia, if you want to do the same that I had offered to Rick as we go through, and send me in the chat directly, your choices, I'll be glad to record them for you.
Okay, if I can type that fast.
You just tell me which one is, we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which area, and I got it.
Okay, all right. The walkability is one. Distance to retail, because I live in the area. Okay, with that one, it would be X. Well, no, it's not an X. Oh, Lord, I'm confused now. Green space, there's limited on that corridor.
Just say what your preference is, and then we can make the mark.
Okay. Right now, just mark everything check, because most of that we do have at some form or another on that corridor. And in one location or another. There's sidewalks, there's distance to retail, all that good stuff. But the minimal traffic, because that's a state highway and it's very busy all day long.
You can only choose 3, and so pick 3.
Okay, 2 of them are marked.
No, it
So-
doesn't matter, because those are somebody else's choices. You
Oh,
pick
okay.
the ones that you want.
Okay, Lord have mercy. Access to trails.
Okay, that's 1.
Um,
I think you said walkability.
yeah,
That's 2.
and walking distance to retail.
Done. Good
Done.
job.
All right.
Oh,
Perfect. Okay, I've taken a snapshot of this. And so does anybody need additional time? If not, I will clear this and we will go to the next screen. Okay, Christy. All right. So again, you get to pick up to 3. For those of you who are in the commercial districts, you're the next slide. This is only for the residential districts right now. So this is Greater Sullivan on the left, Mainstone on the right. Knowing that the community is going to continue to grow and evolve over the next couple of decades, please prioritize 3 of the housing types that you think are appropriate in this neighborhood. Again, just 3.
That's up to 3, right? Thomas,
Up
if you
to
only
3,
think
yes.
1 is appropriate, you can just choose 1.
That's fine. And then D. Lee, I see your request. We'll take care of that. Does anybody need additional time? No? Okay, I will snapshot that and I will clear that. And Christy, if you don't mind going to the next slide, this is for all districts, the commercial districts. Yours comes up specifically a little bit later, a slightly different question. So this is for everybody. Again, you get the column and you get to check up to 3 again. What are your concerns about the type of development currently underway in the planning area of your choice that you are actually reviewing? Concerns regarding the type of development in the planning area. Select up to 3. You're prioritized to 3. And as I was saying earlier, if anybody does have questions or they want to incorporate additional comments, don't hesitate to go into the chat. It's at the bottom right of your Zoom screen. And if you would just include the slide number that we are on, this is 17 of 27. Again, you can see it up here. Include it and we'll incorporate your comment in our review upon completion of this survey. Everybody good? Anybody need additional time? Okay, you're still going?
Thomas, this is Shannon. We had a comment in the chat that the X's are disappearing, but they're still recording on your end, even if they don't show up on the screen. Is that correct?
I'm seeing X's. I'm seeing a lot of the X's in the main stone area. Is that correct? Do you guys see it there too?
Mhm.
Yes. We'll just
Okay.
make sure. We just want to make sure
Okay.
that we're getting Aaron's X's. So
Okay.
Aaron, if they're, tell us where they're
Yeah.
disappearing so I can record
I'm
them
a
for you.
McAllister Square answerer, and I've put them in my boxes now 4 times, and they stay for like 2 seconds, and then they've disappeared. So hopefully no one's, I'm sure no one's stealing my X's, but I don't know what to do. So Shannon, I'll just email you the ones.
Yep,
where I wanna put
just
them.
chat me and I'll record them for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. And Sylvia, I got yours too. Thank you, ma'am.
Does anybody need more time on this one?
I do, because I need to be able to see that. If you can give me about 30 seconds, I just need to
You're
email.
fine. You're fine.
Okay.
Aaron, while a couple of people are still trying to put theirs in, could you do me a favor and just try to put a couple of X's just in the green part of the screen on the right? I just want to see if you lose them there.
Sure, let me do that 1 second.
Okay.
Okay. Got to get it to come back down again.
Okay, somebody who's,
Aaron, I see yours.
I
They're
see 'em on the
staying for
side.
me.
I see that. Okay, so now I'm going to put them into the thing and see if they disappear again.
Okay,
Okay.
there you go.
All right.
There
And
you
then,
go.
I think you're
Yeah.
back up and running.
Yep.
okay.
Good
Yeah,
job.
you should be good. I see them
Tell me
all.
once, and Shannon. Okay, that's good. I'm glad they stayed. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thanks. Yeah, let everybody, please let us know if you do have an issue. We'll try to
okay,
fix it. All right.
Shannon,
We good for this one? I'm
no,
snapping it. No,
Shannon, did you get
Yes,
my
ma'am.
chat?
I sure did. I got you.
Okay, I'm the,
thanks, Shannon.
I'm the
Thanks,
greenest.
Sylvia. Okay, we
I
got
wrote 'em
it.
down.
I'm clearing these and we'll go to the next slide, please, Christy. All right, so this is for the 2 neighborhoods. The commercial sites will be right after this one. You get to select one of the 2 street sections that represent building heights and forms that you would prefer in this area. So on the left-hand side is the Greater Sullivan neighborhood. Imagine that as Augusta Road. Are you more comfortable with the top or the bottom version of building heights and building forms? Stone Avenue for the main Stone neighborhood is on the right. Which building heights and building forms would you be more comfortable with along Stone Avenue? Select either the top or the bottom one.
Mhm. Mhm.
And again, any questions, don't hesitate to just unmute and ask or throw it into chat.
Hi, this is Evangeline. I'm trying to click on the 2 bottom images
Okay.
using the pen. So
You have a pen that you're kind of drawing with?
well, now I'm drawing with my finger, but It's,
Okay, do you see at the top of your screen, do you see the toolbar that says mouse, text, draw, stamp? Is that the one that's up for you?
my screen just changed and it went to calendar. It's the City of Greenville page. Everything disappeared.
Okay, let
Okay.
me do this then.
Let's-
Evangeline, for this one, let me do it for you, but I think that I might have Christy try to work with you to get you back in, but you wanted to choose the bottom one, Mainstone or Greater Sullivan.
Right. If I understood your question correctly, I prefer the bottom images.
Okay, I threw you in. Okay. Thank you. And then, does anybody need additional time on this screen? And then I'll take you over to the commercial districts. We good here? Let me snap a shot. Okay. And I will clear this. And Christy, could you go to the next screen? And again, this is the same question, but for the commercial districts. The left column is for the North Lawrence corridor. The middle column is for McAllister Square, that's Pleasantburg Drive. And the right side is South Augusta, Mauldin, Potomac, Pleasantburg area, south side of Augusta at City's Edge, and that's South Augusta Road. Again, look at those images, the top and the bottom, and let us know which of the street sections you prefer, that you are more comfortable with. And Evangeline, while they're going through that, let me
Okay.
just.
I'm back on the page.
Can you see at the top of your screen, do you see a toolbar, or when you hover up at the very, very top, do you see you're viewing Christie's screen in green, and then to the right, you see something, or no?
I can see a toolbar across the top of the
Can
screen.
you choose stamp? Do you
Which
see
icon
the
is
fourth
stamp?
one? It's the fourth one over the check. Do you see that one?
Over the top or going down the side?
It's
At the very
probably
top of the screen, at the
Oh,
very
the-
top of the screen, where it says you are viewing Christy Dotson's screen. And then there's a view option box right next to it.
Although she may
Okay.
be in the toolbar.
No. So I will just
Toolbar.
simply tell you
Okay.
which I prefer, if you don't mind.
Mhm.
And okay, so you did yours for the neighborhoods. So you're holding on this one. Is that correct for the commercial? You're doing one of the neighborhoods, I think, right?
Right.
Okay. Does anybody need additional time for this before I take an image?
Yeah,
So
I
if you could just
got
add
in.
mine.
I just got
Okay,
in.
that's fine.
So
perfect.
under view options, what do you click on so you can put your vote?
Go
Annotate.
down to annotate.
I don't see annotate. Only thing I've got is Zoom ratio, request remote control, a notice, and exit full screen and side-by-side mode. That's the only thing that's showing on my options.
Okay.
Oh, she just-
Hers
you
just
on an
doesn't
iPad?
include, hers just doesn't include annotate, because I can see all of the others on mine, for instance, but I see annotate, but I don't. But she may not see it on hers.
Which she?
Yvonne. Yvonne Reader representing Nickel Town.
Sabrina Baxter-Reader or Sabrina Reader.
Yvonne, this is Shannon. Good evening. If you'll just send me your choices, just you can put top or bottom for which corridor in the chat. I'll record it for you.
Top for all of them.
Yes, ma'am. I got it.
Anybody need additional time on this one?
I need one more
Okay.
minute.
I am taking,
Okay, someone needed one more minute.
Somebody needed
Okay.
more time, Thomas.
got it. Okay.
And we've only got a few more of these, isn't that right, Thomas?
This is promises.
Thomas, some of the issue may be with iPads. I'm going to make a test. Stamps aren't an option on iPad, so I'm going to test putting an arrow over in the green.
Okay. Oh, there you go. That
You see that?
populated. Yeah,
Okay.
so it sounds like if you're on a mobile device, a tablet, iPad, phone, you might choose the arrow is what you're saying.
Yeah, and that option is on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. I don't know if it's going to zoom. It's in this bottom corner. You can touch the pen icon on an iPad or a phone and select arrow. And you should just be able to draw your little arrow.
Oh,
Okay, thanks, Christy. And
Yeah.
if you do have an issue, do not hesitate to either put it into chat or send it directly to Shannon in chat or to everyone, and we'll record it because we are recording this.
Mhm.
Anybody need more time on this screen? All right. I took a photo. I'm clearing it. Christy, if you don't mind taking us to the next screen. All right. This one's a little bit more, it's a little bit more intensive, a little bit more wordy, I should say. So here we're trying to understand how comfortable you are with gives and gets. And so we're using McAllister Square District as an example. Everybody can respond on this one slide. So I'll walk you through this real quickly. And I'll give you also time to read this, but essentially what we're asking is how comfortable are you with additional height as a give by the city to a developer if they incorporate one of the three primary components of the GVL 2040 comprehensive plan. Those three primary goals were affordable housing, open space, and transportation and mobility. So you'll see if you kind of go to the top of the matrix, we've got affordable housing. There is a developer who is looking for approvals to build a 4-story building condo project along Pleasantburg Drive in the McAllister Square district. She is very aware of the GVL 2040 recommendations and goals. Under which circumstance would you permit additional building height for affordable housing? If she incorporated affordable housing, deed restricted affordable housing, would you support 2 additional stories? Support, don't support, or it depends. You get to choose one. The second one down is how supportive of you are you for 2 additional stories if there were additional green space, parkland space completed as part of this project. And then the third one down is, would you support 2 additional stories for additional monies for, say, Swamp Rabbit Trail Spur addition and or alternative mobility transportation infrastructure? It could be a new bus stop, it could be a center, it could be different kinds of bike lanes incorporated into that development. And I know that some of you chosen it depends. If you wanted to explain the why behind the it depends, if you don't mind in the chat, if you want to, you don't have to. Just note that it's slide 20, and then you could give your why if you want to. You're not required to. Again, a lot of verbiage on this slide. If you have any questions, please ask.
I think we're getting a lot of good input on this slide, and I think folks are getting it. I think folks understand it.
Mm-hmm. Do folks still need a little bit of time? Maybe we'll go like 10, 15 seconds just in case. Yeah, interesting input. Okay, I am screenshotting and I will clear and we will go to the next.
Hold on 1 minute, Thomas. Hold on 1 minute.
Yep.
Evangeline made a comment about in the chat. Did you get that, Shannon, or should we Or should we do it otherwise? You've got it?
I've got it. I see it
You've
down
got
there.
it. Okay,
Yes.
great.
Thank
great,
you for that. But yeah, we see that that's referenced slide 20. Okay,
Great.
got it. And we'll clear, go to the next slide. Okay. All right. This is for the two neighborhoods, the commercial districts. You're coming up right after this one. So please take a look at the 4 images, the duplex images, and let us know if you would support these, yes, no, or and it depends in each of these neighborhoods. You've got a far left one, kind of a traditional duplex, parking in the rear. You've got a more contemporary duplex, the second one with some narrow parking in the front. You've got a bit of a traditional meets modern, actually, with parking in the front. And then you've got a single story, steep pitched roofs, full parking in the front. Do you support those? You'll see the greater Sullivan column is on the left-hand side under each image. The main stone is on the right side. Let us know if you're a yes, you would support each of these. So 1 input per image, thinking vertically. Yes, if you'd support, no, if you would not, and it depends. And again, within it depends, don't hesitate to put slide number and throw a chat in.
Thomas, I think this is a good slide too. If folks have additional thoughts that they want to put into the chat, this would be a good opportunity to say, maybe if you're voting no or it depends, to say what you don't like about it or what it would depend on. Because part of the reason that we're asking this question is as we write the districts, we want to make sure that the rules would produce outcomes that are what people want to see. And so giving us a little bit more insight about what it is you don't prefer about these or what it depends would be helpful guidance for us if people feel comfortable sharing.
Mm-hmm. Does anybody need a little more time? All
Let's
right.
give them just a couple. Can we give them just one more minute in case anybody does want to add comments in the chat,
Sure.
so they have time to type
Perfect.
that out?
Okay, 1 more minute.
Thank you, Diane. I see
Mhm.
it. Got the comment. Thank you.
And Lauren as well, thanks. Yeah.
Okay, Evangeline, I got it too. I got you.
And Lauren, I got yours, thanks.
I think we've got everyone's thumbs.
We good? Let me screenshot this. Okay, I've got it. I will clear. And Christy, if you could move to the next slide. We're going to move into the commercial districts, and we have to do these individually. So please, everybody, take a little break. This is for the North Lawrence Road corridor, folks. So for those of you that are working on the North Lawrence Road corridor district, take a look and let us know if these building types, again, we're looking at heights and forms and setbacks, et cetera. As you look at these building types, massing, et cetera, do you think this is appropriate? Yes, for the Lawrence Road corridor, no, and it depends. So again, we're looking vertically, 1 input under each image. Folks need a little bit more time. Oh, yep, you're still going. Okay.
Yes, thank you. And let's give them 1 minute, Thomas, if we can, so that if they want to add any of their explanation, like they did the last slide in the chat, it gives them a second to type it out.
Yep. And somebody asked if I could give a brief description of each building. They're a little hard to differentiate. I'll give a really brief description. I don't want to guide anybody, and we're kind of leaving this open, but really what we're asking you to look at is really kind of setbacks, form, heights, mass, maybe articulation, those kinds of things that would be a part of a code, not as much really architecture materials and colors and things like that. So as you look at those images, keep that in context: building, massing, setbacks, form. Those are the real things we're asking you to look at in each one.
And just want to let Yvonne and Evangeline know that I did receive their chats and have made note of them. Thank you, Yvonne. Got your other one too about the square block style. Making note of that as well.
Folks need a little bit more time. All right, we'll give it about 10 seconds and then I will snap this and go to the next commercial district. Okay, I'll clear this. Okay, Christy, if you don't mind, next slide. Okay, this is McAllister Square. So same question for the McAllister Square folks. Which buildings are you comfortable with? Again, we're looking at kind of primarily massing, we're looking at form, we're looking at height, we're looking at setbacks, how a building would fit into that district. Do these buildings symbolize a building that you think should be in that district, could be in that district or not? And it depends. And again, don't hesitate to throw slide number 23 and a Y into the chat. And these can, just for the record, this prior slide, Lawrence Road and this McAllister Square district, these could be residential buildings, these could be commercial buildings, these could be mixed use buildings, all of which are allowed by way of the zoning. So just keep that in mind as well. Not really looking as much at uses. Again, it is building form, mass, scale, size, height. Anybody need a little more time? We'll go another 10 seconds unless I hear a request for longer. All right.
And we've only got 2 more slides like this after this one. So we're getting close to the end, folks.
Okay. All right, we're doing well on timing, I think. Okay, I'll clear this. And Christy, if you don't mind advancing to the next slide. This is South Augusta, Augusta Mauldin, Pleasantburg District. Again, look at the 5 building types, typologies, mass scale, height, setbacks, etc. Let us know if you would support a building like this in that planning area or not. All right, maybe 10 seconds unless you request otherwise, and I'll snap this one. I think we only have one final slide for input left. So yeah, good timing, folks. And I did get a couple of your comments to me from Lauren and a couple of others. Thank you. I've got them in here. I'll snap that. And hey, Mark, did you need additional time? I saw you just made a check. Let me.
No, I'm sorry. That was
you
on
good?
another screen and somehow it
Oh,
clicked
no,
it on there
that's fine.
accidentally.
I just wanted to make sure I did it record before everybody got theirs marked. Okay, I'll record now, record that image, and I will clear. And Christy, if you could advance to the next slide. I think this is the final input one. This is for everybody. And really, I think I would think about this from your neighborhood perspective. How comfortable are you with accessory dwelling units? For those of you that aren't familiar with accessory dwelling units, we've got a definition on the top, kind of often referred to as a granny flat, a mother-in-law apartment, a secondary unit. We're asking two questions here. On the left-hand side, please put an X or a check mark in the form that you are comfortable with for an ADU. The top one is detached. You'll see the second one is maybe a unit built on or within a garage conversion, addition to the house, etc. If you don't support one of those, just put your checks or X's in the 1, 2, 3 that you do support. If you don't support ADUs at all in the neighborhood, you can certainly put your X or a check mark at the very bottom where it says, I don't support ADUs under any circumstance. And of course, the right side, you guys are fast, is the function. Are you comfortable with an ADU for family members, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, or would it be better for workforce and or affordable housing, or all of them? Again, if you don't support ADUs, throw your X or check on the bottom left. I don't support them. Somebody's coming in. And any questions? Ask. There is a lot of support for ADUs.
Mhm. I would just want to add that while this isn't a perfect way of getting a sense of people's attitudes, it's a very good way, and we can see how attitudes are coalescing around certain things, and that will make the work of the team a lot easier as we try to code for this for this eventuality.
If folks need more time, we'll say maybe 10, 15 seconds unless you tell me otherwise. All right, I will snap this and clear that. And success. Next slide, Christy. Thank you all, really. Thank you for your input. Okay. What we'll do is we're compiling the input that we received in person at the open houses last week, and we'll of course compare and analyze it to this data. So we probably doubled the input that we had last week. So again, thank you for participating in this. I hope that was helpful to you and that we were able to present some information to you that starts to give you a sense of the questions, the questions that we're asking as we prepare the code, and the direction that we're starting to go as we prepare this code. That's actually all we really wanted to get through tonight. That's the end of this presentation. I would say that we're about 3 minutes before 6 o'clock. If anybody has any questions, we can certainly discuss them now. If other folks want to drop off, you're certainly free to drop off. That was the extent of the input virtually. And so thank you for your time. We'll be back with another, this fourth Code Connection webinar will be May 11th, same time. So look for us here, and certainly continue to check the Greenville planning website. That's got all of the updated information and the updated links. But with that said, I know some of you had allocated an hour. Please feel free to drop off. If any of you have questions or want to discuss anything, we are free to discuss with you for a few more minutes if that's your desire.
Could we
I see
get a
Mary
head,
David. Go ahead, Sylvia.
could we get a heads up maybe 30 minutes before if you guys are gonna switch from WebEx to Zoom?
We apologize for that. We weren't able to use the annotate function in WebEx, so we had to utilize it on, we had to use Zoom.
Okay.
Sorry about that, but we will definitely let you know the next time. I suspect the next time we'll be on WebEx. I don't think we'll have an interactive survey like this. It'll be
Okay.
a more presentation webinar, but we will definitely try to let you know in advance. Yeah, sorry about that.
All
I
right.
think you
Sylvia.
did a great, I think you did a great job, Sylvia, though. You hung in there and
I
you got your
finally
input.
Yes,
figured
you
it
did.
out.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks,
All right.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
But
you.
before everybody drops off, just know that we're doing all we can to get the word out about this process. And we are trying to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to participate. If you have any suggestions on other ways that we can reach the community, please let myself or Mary Douglas or Chris know, because it's really important to us as the planning staff that we are reaching everyone in any way we can. And so please continue to look at our Greenville Development Code website. We are constantly updating it. We're putting out our education blasts. So I think we're up to number 7. Our communications team is continuing to do the Hank and Betty videos, which also have educational components. We provide a monthly update on our work. And then we are doing these code connection sessions. We had our open houses last week. So we want to make sure that everyone has their voice heard in this process. So please, if you have any suggestions, please let us know. And we really want you to know how much we appreciate y'all taking the time to be here this evening.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so can we remind all of the neighborhood residents ahead of time that they need to get word out on their sites so the
Yes.
community can tune in?
We have our next neighborhood luncheon coming up, and that is on the agenda. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you,
That'll work.
Sylvia. Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Any questions? Again, we're here for a few minutes if you have any.
I have a question.
do.
I was
And I'll
just,
see you next week. I'm getting off.
Thank you.
I was wondering how these small area plans and focuses on special districts within Greenville are going to be integrated into the code.
So the small area plan, so we looked at a number of districts when we first started the development code work. And, we can't go into this level of detail for every single neighborhood and district throughout the community. So what we did is we worked with with City Hall and tried to determine what 5 really representative districts are. And these were the 5 that we felt were representative from both a neighborhood perspective, kind of an inner ring neighborhood perspective, different commercial perspective, districts, corridors, et cetera. And so as representative districts, the input that we get for these districts, we can start to apply it to other districts as we build out the code. So to answer your question, the input that we get here, we will begin to take some of the planning concepts and the things that are flying at a slightly higher altitude, and we will try to get that into code that would be applicable for these areas. That code will likely be code that can be duplicated for districts, for district zoning, district designations in other areas throughout the community. Our hope is that probably by using these 5 areas, we can get to 95% of the city that has kind of similar characteristics and start to zone it at that level. But at least this kind of planning allows us to touch the ground and get an understanding of what people think is appropriate. So it's really taking planning, hitting the ground for these 5 districts, and then applying it to others. So what we do here has significant applicability citywide.
Yeah, well, thank you for that thorough answer. I have particular interest in the Gateway area. If you're familiar with that, do you know what typology would correspond most accurately to that? Or do you have a feeling about that? Or is that something that would, you choose that later in the process?
We're probably gonna, that's a pretty complex area, kind of a mixed use component. Will probably play a significant role in that area. And so we don't have anything definitive yet, right? We haven't yet finalized districting zoning designation for these districts, for these planning areas, I should say, right? So we don't have it done yet, but it is what we intend to get through over the course of this summer. So we're not there yet, but we'll keep working with us because we'll be getting to that level over the course of the next 60, 90 days.
Okay, thank you.
We're starting to do some draft mapping right now, so we're getting there, but we're not done yet. Yeah.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. And I'm glad you're interested in that area. That's great. We'll reach out to you for some input.
Yeah, I'm with Plus Urbia, so that's kind of where my interest comes from.
Good. Okay, great. Anybody else? Any questions about the work that we're doing, the process, timelines, anything? This survey tonight, anything it's wide open. And if not, Shannon, are you still with us here?
I'm still here.
Okay.
Yes.
Did anybody shoot you any questions just out of curiosity before we finish up here?
Nope. Everybody
Okay.
has been very kind with their comments, and we had one suggestion that I thought was really good about some additional outreach. But other than that, I think everybody enjoyed being able to kind of participate in this format. So before everyone leaves, just thank you. Thank you, Dylan, for your question. Yes, and I think we really appreciate everybody's input. So other than that, Thomas, I think we're ready to close it for the night. We'll go ahead and call this one in the books, take this information and start working on the next one for May.
Indeed. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you again in May 11th, 5 o'clock Eastern. Thank you, everybody.